Yo, it's Go, and welcome to episode 4 of the Boomkin breakdown. In this episode, I want to explain why I'm getting rid of Insect Swarm from my main damage rotation. So what I did is I looked at my Gruul fight from the 23rd and took these numbers, figured out like the average DPS for each spell, and the DPS I got for Insect Swarm came out to be the same as Starfire if it had no Nature's Grace procs. So if all 56 of these casts, none of them had a Nature's Grace, then it would have the same DPS theoretically as Insect Swarm. But I don't know how many of those 56 casts I had that had Nature's Grace. I didn't go back and look that far. If it was closer of a DPS than I might have, but since it's exactly the same, I can assume that the DPS will be higher on average than Insect Swarm would be. Moonfire way higher, and Wrath a little bit higher, but the Nature's Grace procs from Starfire should make that equal or if not greater than Wrath's DPS. So to get these numbers, I took the average Starfire damage for the hit, 2,844, calculated the crit by taking 2,844 times 2.09, since we have the meta socket, the chaotic Skyfire, and we get 5,944. So then we can take these numbers and divide them by 3, since it's a 3-second cast, and get our DPS. And I did the same thing for Moonfire, Wrath, and Insect Swarm. So Moonfire, I took the average tick, which is 441, multiplied that by 4, since each Moonfire has 4 ticks along with the initial damage. Ticks once every 3 seconds. And then I took the average hit, 707, the average tick, totaled that up. Then to get the DPS, I'm just dividing this 2,471 by 1.5, since it takes a global for it to cast, if you want to call it casting. So as long as all 4 of the ticks come out as well, then for that global, it has a DPS value of 1,647 if it's a hit, and 2,164 if it crits. Wrath, I didn't have too many casts, I had 12, but took the average hit at 1,507, divided that by 1.5, and we get 1,005. Took this number, did the same thing with Starfire, multiplied it by 2.09 to get the crit value, then divided that by 1.5, got the DPS. And Insect Swarm has 6 ticks, it ticks once every 2 seconds. So I took the average 319, multiplied that by 6, we get 1,914, divide that by 1.5, and we get Insect Swarm's DPS value. But I did find out the Nature's Grace value as well. I just didn't take it that extra step to find out the DPS for a Nature's Grace Starfire. But once I found all of this information out, I then took the crit that I had for that fight. I went back to the VOD and saw I had 27.77% crit. So then with the talent, it adds 4 more percent. So this is with all these buffs. So I had the Totem of Wrath from the Shaman. The 3% was included in this Wrath of Air I had, so that was included in the spell power. I had Brilliant Wizard Oil, the 23 spell power food buff, the Black and Basilisk, Proven Divine Spirit, Kings added a little spell power, and Arcane Brilliance adds a little bit of spell power as well. So with all of these buffs, I had 1,243 spell power and these crit values. So the Moonfire gets a bonus 10% crit, so since I had 27.77, we get 37.77. Now I took the hit and crit values and multiplied it by the crit percentage and the hit percentage. So 100 minus the crit percentage is the hit percentage, and got the values down here. So for example, for Starfire, for the crit value, it's easier to do that one since we already have the crit percentage. I took 5,944 times 31.77, and we get this value here. And then I can take 100 minus 31.77, that's our hit percentage, multiply that by the hit number, 284, and we get this upper value here. Add that together, divide it by 100, and our average Starfire damage, like per cast, is going to be 3,829, which gives us a DPS value of 1276. So I did that same style of math for Moonfire and Wrath, and got their DPS values, and they're all over Insect Swarm, so I'm just going to take that out of my rotation and have Moonfire has priority, so I still want to keep Moonfire up as much as possible, and then Starfire after. And if before reapplying Moonfire I need like a short cast, so I'm not wasting much time before reapplying Moonfire, then I will Wrath, and then Moonfire, Starfire, Starfire. So it's like 4 Starfires between reapplying Moonfire, but with different Nature's Grace procs. I might have to throw in a Wrath in there just to try to keep that Moonfire uptime maximized. Another reason I'm going to take out Insect Swarm is because our tanks don't really need that 2% chance to hit decrease anymore to help out. I didn't try to find the actual breakpoint when our spell power and crit gives us enough DPS to outgear Insect Swarm, and since everyone's gear is probably very different, look at your spell power and crit values and check out a fight you want to take as a test in Ghoul, Mag, or Kara. Then find your average hit for each spell and follow along with how I got the DPS if you need. If you do test it yourself, post in the comments what your spell power and crit values are so we can see the different values. Others can know they are safe to drop it out of their rotation as well. I'll still be using Insect Swarm during some fights while moving and whatnot, but for the main DPS rotation I won't. I need to test out the values during Heroism and see if Moonfire is worth it to keep up during that, or if I should just be spamming Starfire. If you've already tested that, let me know. I've done some more testing to find out some other values, such as how much spell power is 1% hit, how much damage is 1 spell power for Starfire, how much spell power is 1 crit, and how much crit is 1 spell power. But my connection's been bad this past week, so it's not easy to record right now to show how I came up with all of that info to be peer reviewed and verified, all that good stuff. But if you're interested, I'll post those numbers in the description. So I hope that is not confusing, and I will see you all in the next one.